At first I was very frustrated, and I felt inadequate and I felt unprepared. But as I dug in and did research and looked for resources that were appropriate for her, because one of the things is when you're raising a child with mental health challenges is one thing, but when you raise a child with mental health challenges and they're African American, that's a whole nother level. And so I really worked hard at finding the right resources for her, the appropriate diagnosis, the appropriate medication. It's a lot to navigate the system. There's many components to it.
Finding resources is always probably the biggest difficulty that I would say as a parent that we faced, is just finding resources that stick around and resources that really fit our kids' needs, because maybe there's an abundance of therapy, but if it's not the right type of therapy, what is the benefit of it then?
One of the first things that really dawned on me was because you get frustrated and it'd just be easier to walk away from it and just kind of ignore it. But one of the things that I thought about, I was like, if she had leukemia, would I do that? If she was paralyzed, could I do that? What I discovered is that it's easier to ignore, and it's easier to not want to deal with a disability that's a hidden disability versus one that's outward.
There's a lot of stigma out there. There's a lot of judgment without getting to know the child or the person, whether it's a teen or a young child, an adult. Their first impression is what they go off of.
People just feel like you can get rid of it, like just snap out of it and just be like, okay, you're fine, and get up, walk. You're depressed, get up, walk. You're mad, get up, walk. It's like, not everything is like that.
Some people think that, these children don't need medication, they just need time out, or there's medications that are absolutely needed and they need to get them the proper help. If you don't think that the first one is true, take them to a second or third opinion. It's okay to put your child on medications if they need it.
Being able to have a seat at the table is huge. Not being told as a parent what to do to your child or with your child, but them listening to you as well, and allowing you to be empowered as the parent to have that kind of feedback on what you think is the best approach for your kid.
Sometimes children don't have control, and in that they are dealing with emotional issues that they are unaware of and not able to articulate. Thus, you see it play out as an educator in the behavior in the school environment.
Because you never know what's going on in the home. My philosophy is you have that child for 8 to 9 hours a day. You're responsible for that child. I feel like I'm responsible for my kids, every time they come in. Some of the kids, they have no choice but to bring, what they deal with at home to school.
But from a child's standpoint, you ask yourself the question, not being able to be explained to that mom is going through this or dad is going through this. So they're left with questions in their mind. Why the one person or the two people in the world that should love me the most is unable to be there for me. And so you can only imagine, and if this goes on for a period of years or months, that can affect a child's mental, emotional state. They could have started out just fine. So my thing is, do what I can in that classroom. That means that teachers are counselors and we're educators, and we may have to go and pick up some things, and we do it on the side. We don't do it to embarrass them. We just find a way to connect with children, because all they want is to feel safe. All they want is to be loved. And if you can do that within those 4 walls, 8 to 3 every day for 170 days, then you're doing the best that you can.
Parents are struggling. It is exhausting to do this day in and day out.
One thing we're not asking for is parenting advice. We're asking for support families in what they're already doing. If you can offer respite, oh my gosh, that would be humongous. And we understand, a kid with specific behavioral challenges might not be the one that you want spending the weekend with you. But what about the other children in the home who are seeing the family in crisis and not having to have friends over, or It could be a challenge.
Parents need to be supported and they need to be understood more than anything in the world.